Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Odivas podcast. It's been a while. It's been around 2 to 3 weeks, roughly. And today is going to be a video essay. I'm recording this for the second time because when I went to transfer the video, I found that the microphone wasn't connected. So that was interesting. But anyway, this is going to be it's going to be a video essay based on a essay that I wrote for my newsletter on Substack. And it's about the storm inside. That's what it's titled. It's about understanding depression and anxiety from a psychological, neurological, and spiritual perspective. So if that sounds interesting to you, then we can begin. As usual, all links will be in the description below. My Spotify has changed to be more story-based, so this will not be on Spotify. I want to keep it here because my Spotify audience is only around 2 people. So I'd like to keep my stories and poems there and the podcast here. With all that being said, let us begin this essay. So, introduction. The storm with no rain. Sometimes the most intense battles are the ones we fight in silence. The smile on someone's face can hide the weight of 1,000 invisible thoughts. The kid who cracks jokes might be crumbling. The friend who never misses a deadline might cry every morning before getting out of bed. Mental health is a quiet room, and often no one knows you're sitting in it. I've wanted to talk about this for a long time. Not as a doctor, not as an expert, but as someone who cares deeply. As someone who's read and researched and wrestled with these questions. As someone who has seen the weight that depression and anxiety can place on our heart and on our mind. This essay is not a guide. And it's not a diagnosis either. It's a window into what depression and anxiety really are, how they operate in the brain, and why they're not just in your head. And most of all, it's a reminder that there's hope, real, scientific, spiritual hope. So, with that, let's begin. Number 1. What is depression? Let's get one thing out of the way first. Depression is not just sadness. Sadness is a natural response to life. It ebbs and flows. It has reason and rhythm. Depression, on the other hand, is often reasonless. It's waking up and feeling like gravity tripled overnight. It's losing interest in the things that used to light you up. It's exhaustion, not from activity, but just from existing. From a psychological standpoint, depression is a mood disorder categorized by or characterized by persistent low mood, loss of pleasure, sleep disturbances, fatigue, appetite changes, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, trouble concentrating, and, in severe cases, even suicidal thoughts. These symptoms often last 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. But in many cases, most of the cases actually, they last months or even years. From a neurological perspective, depression is tied to decreased levels of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, which controls reasoning and decision making, overactivity in the amygdala, the brain's fear and emotion center, shrinkage in the hippocampus, the region linked to memory and emotion regulation. Put simply, depression isn't just emotional pain. It's brain chemistry out of balance. It's circuits misfiring. It's your internal wiring telling you lies about your worth, your future, yourself. And knowing that changes everything. Number 2, what is anxiety? If depression is a weight, then anxiety is the buzz, the hum, the silence that never turns off. Anxiety from a clinical view is characterized by excessive worry or fear, restlessness, muscle tension, racing thoughts, trouble sleeping, shortness of breath or rapid heartbeat, avoidance of situations or people. When it often coexists with depression, anxiety is its own beast. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, kicks in even when there's no real danger. It floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to flee or fight. But in the modern world, there's no lion to run from. Just an email, a memory, a vague what if. Over time, cortisol levels can wear down the body, damaging sleep cycles and disrupt digestion and immune responses. That's why anxiety isn't all in your head. It lives in your muscles, your stomach, your chest. Anxiety is not nervousness. It's an alarm bell in the body, and once you understand it's physical too, you stop blaming yourself for not just calming down. Number 3, it's not weakness. It's a system overload. One of the most damaging things people say, often unknowingly, is just think more positively. Try harder. Don't be so sensitive. You have nothing to be sad about. The truth is, depression and anxiety are not signs of weakness. They're survival mechanisms that have gone into overdrive. From a quote-unquote evolutionary standpoint, anxiety helped early humans avoid danger, hypervigilance meant survival. Depression-like states may have functioned as a kind of mental withdrawal when overstimulation threatened decision-making. But today, in a world of constant noise, pressure, disconnection, and sensory overload, those systems misfire. Your brain tries to protect you and ends up hurting you instead. This isn't a flaw, it's a biological response that needs care, not shame. Number 4, the inner experience. Here's the part science struggles to describe. The feeling. Depression doesn't always feel like sobbing in the dark. Sometimes it's numbness, sometimes it's flatness, sometimes it's just nothing. You wake up and feel like the world has faded to grayscale, everything a little duller, a little slower. Food doesn't taste the same, music doesn't hit, joy feels distant, and you want to cry but can't. You want to be held but don't know how or who to ask. Anxiety, on the other hand, feels like electricity in the bloodstream. Your thoughts spin, your chest tightens, everything feels urgent. You overthink situations from 3 days ago. You fear being seen but also fear being invisible. You're tired, but you can't sleep. It's exhausting. And it's real. Number 5, the stigma still lives. Despite all our progress, stigma persists. People still whisper about therapy, some still see medication as giving up, some still believe that faith and mental health are enemies instead of allies. But let me say this clearly. You can love God and still struggle with your mind. You can be strong and still feel overwhelmed. You can pray and need a doctor. You can be joyful in your soul and have bad days in your brain. None of that makes you weak. It makes you human. Number 6, hope lives in science and spirit. Here's where things shift. Because while the pain is real, so is the hope. Let's talk about neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change, adapt, and rewire itself. With therapy, medication, routine, support, and intentional action, a few things can be done. Neural pathways can be rebuilt. The prefrontal cortex can regain strength. New thought patterns can override old ones. Joy, once distant, can return slowly but surely. Therapies like CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy literally train the brain to identify distorted thoughts and replace them with grounded truths. SSRIs and other medications help restore chemical balance, making healing possible when things feel impossible. Even things like exercise, sunlight, journaling, and creative habits have been shown to impact neurotransmitters positively. And of course, faith helps too, which leads us to number 7. God is love, and He is with you in this. If you've grown up with any faith background, you might have heard that Christians should always be joyful, that depression is a lack of trust, that anxiety is a failure of belief. But the Bible doesn't say that. In fact, some of the most powerful voices in Scripture wrestled with despair. Elijah prayed for death under a tree. David wrote psalms of weeping, trembling, and feeling forsaken. Job cried out in anguish, cursing the day he was born. Even Jesus, in Gethsemane, said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow, to the point of death." The Bible doesn't hide pain. It names it. And it shows that God meets us in it. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. God is not angry with your suffering. He's not disappointed in your sorrow. He's present in your silence, holding your spirit even when your body feels heavy. And His love does not depend on your performance. God is love. And that love extends to your mind, your chemical makeup, to the wiring in your brain, to the breathless moments, and even in the hidden tears. You're not a broken believer. You're a whole human being, held by grace. Number 8, how to be there. If you're walking through this storm, or someone you love is, here are some gentle reminders. Number 1, for yourself, it's okay to rest. It's okay to ask for help. Healing is not linear. It loops and stumbles and restarts. You're not behind. You're allowed to exist, even when you're not thriving. And for others, you should listen more than you speak. Validate before you advise. Ask, what do you need today? Not, why do you feel like this? Always make someone feel comfortable in your presence by asking them intentional questions that get them to open up and share. Because I've found that sharing certain things can unload a weight off someone they didn't even know they were carrying. And lastly, just sit beside them. Oftentimes, that's enough. I try my best in many situations in which you're interacting with the person to be the one who listens. I always say I'm a professional listener who loves his job. That's the title that I hope to carry my entire life. I like listening to people. I like understanding the way people work. And you don't need perfect words. You just need to show up. And final thought. No storm lasts forever. And I know that's hard to believe when the sky is black and the wind is screaming, but even hurricanes break, even the fogs lift. Healing is real, and it often comes quietly, like breath returning, like sunlight on skin, like finally sleeping without fear. Your story is not over. Your value is not measured by your symptoms. Your identity is not defined by a diagnosis. You're a living, breathing miracle in progress. And you are loved. So, if this spoke to you, you're not alone. You're not too far gone. You're not too sensitive. You're not too much. You're simply human. And that in itself is enough. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that little video essay. Let me know if you want me to do more of these reads for my essays. And if you want to read the essay in its entirety, I've basically said it word for word with a few additions. You can go and read it on my Substack. The link will be in the description below. So I hope to go back to a weekly releasing schedule. But this has been fun. Hope the microphone is working. Otherwise, I'd have done all this for nothing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to like, subscribe, share with your friends or anyone who you think might need this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Goodbye. God bless.